Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, we are back. Today, we've got a very special guest, Nathan. You go by Nathan or Nate?
Whichever, just not Nathaniel.
Not Nathaniel. Yeah, same with me, Mike or Michael. I'm like, whatever you want, just not Mikey.
Yeah, dude, hey you, any of those are fine.
Guy. We got Nathan Hand from Handprint Media. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on. Now, you are, some people go videographer, some people call it filmography. What's your term?
I'm a guy with the camera.
Guy with the camera.
It doesn't matter. I have met people who are very specific. They're like, we're cinematographers. Don't call me a videographer. I'm a dude that shows up and records your wedding. Awesome. Whatever you want to call me is totally fine.
I love it. And then we met a few months ago at that wedding we did with Sonia. It was at Sunny Pines. Yep. Fantastic. And hit it off right away. I was like, oh, this would be great to have him on. So.
Yeah, it was a beautiful wedding. And you are by far the easiest DJ I've ever had to work with.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was awesome. I was like, yeah, this guy's cool. We're just chilling, vibing. And then, Sonia told me about your podcast. I was like, dude, he likes podcasts. I think we talked fantasy football. Just like, we're like in the middle of a wedding. I'm like, so who's your quarterback?
That's it. Did we just become best friends?
Yeah. Did this just happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great wedding. I loved it.
That's the best thing about this industry is like all the cool people, you get to meet, and then it's like, oh, we're all dedicated to working this wedding and celebrating and having fun and doing our jobs and doing the best thing we can. So how did you get into weddings? And is that mostly what you do is weddings?
I'm kind of all over the place.
Some corporate commercial stuff too?
We do some corporate commercial stuff. I work with a dentist in Lowell, Mattingly Family Dentistry.
Oh, nice.
Super funny videos. So if you ever want to laugh, go check him out. He's great because he doesn't need videos or marketing. He just loves to see himself on camera. So that's just what we do. But I work with a couple of other businesses in the area, and then weddings. I dabble in so many things.
Sure.
My wife is kind of annoyed because I get too many ideas, and I'm like, let's try this today. But as far as video goes, I've been kind of doing videography in one way or another for probably 12 years now at this point. I worked in public relations for physical therapy places, and we did video for production and marketing and stuff. So that was where I started. And then COVID hit, and actually COVID didn't even hit yet, but the physical therapist I was working for heard a whiff of it, and he laid everybody off.
Wow.
Had 50 employees, went down to 4. It was crazy.
Oh my goodness.
So it was some time off, some time to reflect. And I was like, I really, out of every job I've done, I really love taking video and creating things, seeing the finished project and making people feel emotions, whether it's laughter, tears, whatever, us videographers love when people cry. So I started with just getting my own gear. I bought a Sony A6400, no internal stabilization. If you didn't have a tripod, it was going to look like garbage. I had one lens, and I just started playing around at the house and stuff. And I started Handprint Media Productions, not really knowing what I wanted to do with it, but just Nathan Handprint. I'm so funny. And I started out doing reviews of different businesses in the area.
Like a video review?
Yeah. And that was a terrible idea. If you want to get blasted for any reason or any opinion you have, do a video review and post it online. People were like, you left this place out. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm such a terrible person. So I did 2, and it ended quickly after that. And you can't find them. I took them down.
Good, yeah.
But when I was at the second one, which was a flower shop, I was talking to the owner about what I was trying to do. And she thought it was cool, but whatever. So I was shooting at the flower shop, and that was the second business I did. And a girl overheard what I was doing, and she came up to me and she asked if I do weddings, and I told her that I never had. And she was asking like, okay, well, how much would you charge me if you did it? And she said, $500. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So showed up. My wife came with me to do photography, and we just had a blast at this wedding. Like, they were great people. Literally, when we left the wedding, it felt like we were a part of their family. Like, people were giving us hugs. People were like, oh, you did so good. I'm like, you haven't seen this yet. Like, it could be terrible. But like those people, that couple, have become like friends of ours, and we like see them repeatedly at different weddings because they refer so many people. And even though the wedding gear that I had wasn't great, I put a lot of time and emotion into it because I felt like they were a part of my family almost. So I gave them like 3 different edits because it was my first one. I was like, you pick which one you like. I'm just getting used to this. And they were bawling. They loved it. And it just like sparked at that point. I was like, I really like giving someone something that they can treasure for the rest of their lives. Wow. So that was when I started, investing more into gear and actually putting myself out there as a wedding videographer or cinematographer or whatever. And that's how we got started. And we're just continuing to do it now.
I was talking with a friend the other day about how, like, I got a similar way where I did my sister's wedding first wedding I ever did, and then kind of like got bit by the bug. Like, oh, I love this. This is fun. And honestly, that's the worst wedding I've ever done was my sister. Yep. That's some other horror story ones, but that one was the worst. And now that I've gotten better at this, I'm like, I feel like I should go back and I wish I could DJ those early weddings. Yes. I've learned so much. You deserve better. The people who believed in me, who took a chance on me, and I was able to learn from the right and the wrong things I did from those experiences. I'm like, but the cool part is if you develop a strong relationship with the people, they don't care. They love you. They love your work, and you learn, and you get that opportunity to educate yourself and to keep working. And sounds like a similar thing, and it kind of leads into my next question: is what do you love about this work? What interests you? What's in it for you?
Yeah, kind of like what I said earlier. It's all about stories for me. The idea that someone is going to treasure what you're creating forever, and like, God forbid, someone dies. You have this video of someone that you love, and you get to hear their voice, and you get to relive these moments with them again. That's a super extreme example of what could happen. But, I mean, my wife and I got a wedding video, and that was the thing that we spent the most money on our wedding. And I watch it all the time just because I love it. And it's a reminder of this special day that we had together. And it's beautiful because it's ours. It doesn't matter. Anyone could have shot it. Anyone could have been there and done it. And I would have loved it because of what the final product is. So to me, it was more about like having someone that I could vibe with and like was a good person. So I hired my friend to do it, that I knew did video. And it just, to have that feeling of knowing that you're giving something special to someone and creating this lasting memory, and then also just getting to know that person and becoming a part of their special day. And as a videographer, with photographers too, you're with them all day. Like 24/7. Like, hi, you just woke up and you're putting makeup on. I'm going to stick this camera in your face. And then, oh, you're drunk at the end of the night. Yeah. I'm still going to be sticking this camera in your face. I'm still here. So having that person that like you can vibe with, and then getting to know the couple, and like they become your friends and they become people that you really enjoy to be around. And then it makes it that much better when you're editing the film, because you're like, you're taking their story, you're taking their personalities, and like every film is different. Everything has a little bit of a different vibe because you know that person. And I just love creating memories, making something that will last, and hearing how good it is afterwards.
Same. That's what it does it for me too, is that it's an intimate, special thing to be a part, to be chosen, and honestly to be paid to be a part of this really important day in people's lives. And like you said, it could be one of the last big memorable days in their life. We don't know how much time any of us have. And so each day is a blessing, and it's kind of cool to be a part of those moments. And there's this I don't know what that feeling, but I talk about it sometimes with other people on the podcast, and anybody who's kind of caught the bug has that same thing. Like, this is really cool that there's this really special moment happening and I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
I get to see this, and this is what I do for a living. This is what I get to do for a job. It's really cool to celebrate that. And the people who are passionate about this, who really put everything they have into it, they all talk about that kind of feeling where it's so intimate. People are trusting you and celebrating with you, and you get it all. You get the good, the bad, the ugly, and the cool moments that happen. And there's nothing like it.
No, there really isn't. You get one day, it's one special moment, and that's it. Like, it's captured in time. It's not manufactured.
Yeah.
It's not like my commercial work where I get to be like, okay, now do this.
Yeah, read the line this way.
Yeah, read the
there's
line
no
this way.
direction.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's do that again. It's not like this podcast where I'm like, that sounded terrible. Let's redo that.
Yeah.
It's just raw. It's pure emotion, and it's exactly what you said. It's amazing. It's so much fun, and you catch a bug, and you're stuck.
Yeah. And it is so cool, but there are challenges. There are frustrations. What are some of the things you experience, or things that challenge you, frustrate you about the work you do?
Challenges and frustrations. That's a good question. That one's hard for me because I feel like challenges are with every job, with everything you do. You're never going to have something that's just easy. And as far as the challenges with a wedding day or a bride or, family members or whatever, it's always different, and it's hard to put a pin in like, this is something that I always have a challenge with because it's ever evolving.
Sure.
But I think probably the most consistent one, and it's not even like a real challenge. It's just something I wish was better.
Yeah. If you could change it, snap your fingers. Yeah.
If I could change it, I wish that there was better communication or a way to communicate better with like all the vendors before the day of the wedding.
Wow. Yeah.
Like where, like almost like a hub where it's like the bride could like upload, here's my timeline, and we could all see it. And we could all say like, oh, this looks good, or whatever, make our little notes, and we could like communicate, and I could reach out to you and be like, hey, I've got this audio equipment that I'm going to be bringing on the day of. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that before I even see you, like, oh, okay, this guy's going to ask me for that. And like stuff like that. Even the photographer just being like, hey, this is kind of like what I like to shoot. I don't want to get in your way. This is where I'm, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If there was a way that we could all be in a place where everybody just has like almost this mutual knowing of each other and how the day is going to go, at least planned to go before we got there, I think that would make it so much smoother, at least from my perspective. So as far as challenges go, I think that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that I have to show up the day of and have these like, I guess, organizational conversations. And like, when am I going to have those? And are they going to be okay with it? Or is this DJ
Are they going to be receptive?
Yeah.
Are they going to be a huge jerk?
Yeah.
Super
absolutely.
rude? Are they going to act like, you want to plug into my system?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
who is this guy? Yeah.
I had a DJ like that this last week where like I was like, can I? And he's like, no. I was like, okay. Like, that's fine. That's okay. No big deal. So, just things like that. I wish I would have known that before I showed up, so I could be like, oh, you're not going to let me plug into these. What can I do to like?
Instead, to get clean audio and a clean audio backup as well, in case my first one goes down or my second or whatever.
Like, throw a lav on all the people giving us speeches. Thanks. Like, whatever I got to do, it's fine if I got to do it, but just knowing would be great.
But you got to shoot this wedding, and you're working with a difficult DJ who doesn't want you to touch or plug into his equipment.
Yeah.
And what?
It was okay. He had his setup. He got mad at me for setting my gear.
Some people, don't in front or near
it.
It
was like off to the side, and he was like, "You got to move that." I was like, "They told me to move it. Like I've moved it twice. It's okay, whatever."
But yeah, it would be really nice. And the best planners and the best venues I've seen do help you sync up those things.
Right.
The couple has to pay an arm and a leg for that because they're getting top priority of the organizers, the planners, and the coordinators day of. But they'll have, I'm working with a venue next weekend where it's like that, where they meet with the couple, they do a beforehand site walkthrough where all the vendors are invited. I think floral's there, decor is there, video, photo, everybody's there. If possible. I can't always make it because I have kids, but as much as I can, I try to go because then you do kind of a walk through the day. Here's where this is going to be. And then photo, camp, everybody will be like, okay, I'll be over here. I'm going to plug in here. If I've not been to the venue before, that's super helpful because I know where to plug in, where my speakers are going to go. And then I can talk to decor. Where are you putting this? That kind of, there's so many factors, but they'll make a master timeline. It's a living document. And then they send that to all the vendors the week of. With all the information, and then they're the people that you talk to day of. You don't go to the couple that they go to them. They handle it.
That's perfect,
right? And so that's rare. And so I love working with those kind of things.
That's exactly what I want.
And they help us line up the people for intros, and they smooth a lot of the headaches out for everybody.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about. It exists, but it's not common because it's a big budget thing, and it's a lot of work to sync up those timelines. I've learned I just do that automatically. I'm just, okay, I know the couple told me this, but they might have told you something else, or that might have changed and they forgot to tell me that. And I check with video, check with photo, check with everybody, make sure they have what they need. And I've always come at it from like, and it sounds like you're the same way. I'm like, this is a team approach, but I'm here to do a job too. And, it's so crazy. It's so funny to hear because I've had camera people, I come in and they're messing with my equipment. I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? And they're taping up everything. They're plugged into the wrong. I was like, that's not audio out. That's you're not going to get any audio plugging into that.
I love that. I had a DJ that I don't know what happened, but I was like, I think you saw it. It was just like a little thing that goes into your audio out.
Yeah.
And it records to an SD card.
That's it.
And I gave it to him and he was trying to plug it into the mic in.
Oh no.
On his board.
Like his input?
Yeah. And I was like, that's not what that is. Like it's the wrong plug.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And so that was confusing. I didn't know what he was thinking.
You record audio, sir.
Yeah, I was here not to. I'm not projecting anything. That was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, on the day that we shot together, I was very impressed with like, you were always coming over and being like, hey, we're about to do this. Are you ready? You got this set up. I've never felt more prepared.
Oh, good.
I think you even offered to go get me food because
I don't think you guys had eaten. And there was kind of a delay in the timeline.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if we were going to get food. It was just kind of a crazy thing.
And you were like, I'll go get it.
Yeah, I got my assistant. We can make it happen. Yeah. So
yeah, that was awesome.
So yeah, but I just try to treat everybody, like how I'd want to be treated, and that's like my thing is not always the most important thing, although it is important. It absolutely is, and yeah, that's why I'm a DJ and not a videographer because I'd be terrible at a videographer.
I'd be terrible at DJ.
But I value the work that people put in and I respect it. And I want to help other people get what they need to do the best job possible.
Yeah.
And I found that if you do that, people like to work with you and they want to work with you again and they want to collaborate. And so that's the best thing for me. But yeah, the challenges are when you do, I'll come in and I'll meet with the videographer person and I warn them, hey, in 10 minutes, we're gonna do this, 5 minutes, we're gonna do this. And then, okay, they're ready, 1 minute, go ahead and I need to get my lights, I need to set up. I'm like, what were you doing 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
When they're not ready and I've given them, I need to run to my car and switch out my lenses. But 5 minutes, I was like, we don't have 5 minutes.
Why are all your lenses in your car?
There's so many, No, my assistant, we need to go get a bite real quick. I was like, no, we're shooting the first dances now or whatever, That's always frustrating, that kind of thing. Or like when they expect me to like press record on their device and I'm like, I didn't know I needed to do that. Well, why didn't you do it? I was like, well, it's not my...
Oh my gosh.
If I see it, I'll try to remind them, hey, making sure we're going to do speeches. But, I can't do everything.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be expected to. I try to like be exactly like what you're saying, a team player as much as possible. Like I don't want to get in anyone's way. I don't want to cause any problems. And that's why like I've heard from DJs saying that like, videographer will have something that like emits a transmission and it might mess up with their audio.
Sometimes, yeah, it can.
Yeah.
You can be on each other's frequencies.
Yeah. So I just made sure that when I was buying my stuff, I didn't buy any of that.
Yeah.
Like everything I have records straight to SD cards, and it's like long lasting battery life. I start it at the time where I know that I won't have to ask you for anything. And like, if anything is in your way at all, I'm like, well, can we move it over here? Like, I don't want you to have to like even think about my stuff ever or worry about it. So
yeah, and vice versa. You know, I don't want to break people's cameras or touch their stuff or mess with it. You know, and I tell people, if you need to get a shot, just have me move. You need to get on my chair, whatever you need. You know, I don't care. Put the lights in front of my stuff. Put whatever. It's what it is.
Yeah,
I want you to get the best shot possible. So
yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah. For couples, we have a lot of couples listen to the podcast who are either newly engaged, getting married, they're planning their weddings, and if they're interested in booking video for their or having somebody come out and shoot their big day, what advice would you have in finding, selecting vendors, questions to ask, things like that? Yeah,
that's a great question, and I actually just had this question from a bride like 2 days ago. She was like, "So, you know, what should I look for? What should I even ask you? Like, what questions am I not asking?
Yeah. Or what's a green flag, red flag?
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to look for. Like some obvious red flags is like they don't have a contract, or they don't have a website, or they don't have like reviews, or you've never heard of them before. Yeah. Like those are some red flags. So there's just some obvious things to look out for. But as far as like what to look for, my answer is probably different than most videographers, so just be prepared for that. I think that the quality gap is really, really small nowadays, where it doesn't really matter what camera you have. It doesn't really matter like how many cameras you have, like at least two. If they just show up with one camera and you want like full ceremony, you're not going to get that, but that's just another thing.
You get one angle.
Yeah, you get one angle. That's it. But that's another good question to ask, is how many angles are you going to bring? But there's a lot of like details that you don't need to learn as a couple. You don't need to learn frame rates. You don't need to learn like what K my wedding is going to be shot in, focal or anything like that. Lens. Focal length, nothing.
Doesn't matter.
And it just doesn't matter. You know, look at some of their past work, obviously, and be like, okay, I like their style. And that's really the only thing that can be like changed as far as quality, in my opinion, is like, how do they shoot and how do they edit? How do they put the things together? What do they shoot? What do they look for? So if your eye is caught to their work, it's a good sign. Like you're going to like what they're going to give you. So that's something to really look for. But the number one thing that you should look for when you're hiring a videographer goes back to what I said earlier. This person and your photographer is going to be with you all day long, the whole day. You need to make sure, and I don't know how you want to do it, call them, ask to get on a video call, dig through their YouTube, like find things specifically about them, look for a podcast on DJ Insider and see if they've done one. But like get to know the person that is going to be behind the camera and make sure that there's someone that you can vibe with. Make sure there's someone that you're going to feel the most comfortable that you possibly can in front of the camera with. Because if you got someone that's back there that you despise, or is like, I don't even know, like just like, okay, now do this or whatever.
Makes you know, like awkward. You're like, makes you not yourself when you're being filmed.
That will change dramatically the film that you have, way more than the gear that they have.
Interesting.
Because if you're not yourself, if you are not being the way that you are comfortable, you're going to come across stiff. And there's no way in fixing that. Like photos, you can fix a stiff moment because it's a moment. It's like video, you cannot fix that.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's the number one thing. Like just find someone that you like.
That's really great advice. And then it gets away from like, I have the best cameras, I have the best gear.
Yeah.
I went to such and such film school in the south of France for 20 years and studied with the monks who film over there, you know.
I went to the YouTube monks. This is how I learned. It's like how to film a wedding.
I have abilities that no one else has, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I've been on this kick lately where they're paying vendors for an outcome. And you should look for outcomes that you already like, that you want. Read reviews. Those are people who are talking about the outcomes they had.
Yeah.
Those things ring with you. They talk about how the person really listened to them and was really fun and personable and nailed all the details and everybody had a good time or whatever. You know, it was great working with that person. And then, with film, with photo, are they consistent across? You see the full album, you see multiple full albums rather than just that one shot or that one little clip they put together. Right. They consistently can provide that outcome. And so that you want that outcome for your wedding and you connect with that person, that's part of that outcome too. Yeah. Because I DJ weddings and I don't, I do my best to get to know the couples, but sometimes we just don't vibe. And I notice the ones that go the best are the ones that I really know the couple. I know what they want. And it helps me filter the requests as they come in. It helps me, understand their family, their friends, and how they're dancing. And the rest of that I figure out the day of, as it's on the fly, like that's part of the fun challenge of doing what on the DJ side is like, oh, they don't like this. They said they like this, but it doesn't seem like their family and friends do. Yeah. I got to do something else to figure out what they like because we got to have a party. We got to have fun. And so I have to be adaptable and listen to that and rather than just like, no, I know what they're going to hear Bruno Mars all night. I don't care.
Taylor Swift is happening no matter what.
No matter what. I've already decided, But yeah, I think there's a big piece to that where they're paying for an outcome. And if you can deliver that and you can connect to that person and that's what you want.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that outcome is the main green light that you're looking for. Like, do you like what you see? But like a caveat to that, at least from my perspective, as far as video goes, is the vibe thing. Because like I feel like I'm pretty consistent, and I feel like I put out like a good product.
Yeah.
But I've had a couples where the vibe just isn't there. And my piece was like, hey, we're getting married next week and we kind of want this, like not important.
Yeah.
And you feel that the day of.
Yes.
And the end product, like I don't promote it. Like I give it to them and they're like, thanks, and like they like it, but it's not like, oh, we're so happy with this. We're so happy we got you.
It's a different type of person who's like 18 months out. We've studied your work.
Yes.
We've been following you on social media.
Yes.
You did our friend's wedding. We want you.
Yeah.
Let's book you now, lock you in. That's a person who places a priority, who values what you do, who's already connected with your work, with the outcome you provide, and versus somebody, we didn't think we were going to get this, but my wife's parents talked me into it, so we're doing it.
That's like, another.
You're the same as anybody. Here, what's your price?
Absolutely. That's another
I love the work. I love the money, but that's a different outcome. That's a different day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another piece to the couple recommendation thing is don't be pressured to get something that you don't really want. Like if you don't really want video and someone's saying you need to get it, don't get it. Like that's weird for a videographer to say, but don't save that money, put it towards something else. Like don't do something like video is what video is. Like photography is something that like I know where we stand in photography. Like photography is more important. That's going to go up on your walls. You're going to be looking at that every day. That's your profile picture on Facebook. Like, I get it. Video, you're probably going to pull it out once in a while and watch it, but it's not going to be something that you see every single day. So if it's something that you value and something that you want, and 18 months ahead, you're like, I love your work. Yeah, I love you. I want this for my life, and I see the value in it. Perfect. But if you don't, then don't waste your money or your time.
I'd rather not be there. I'd rather not waste my time either. And I'd rather have that day open either to be off.
Or serve another couple.
Where it's more connected. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of have, and maybe you have this or don't, but I have like kind of a 3-strike rule.
Okay.
Where when couples reach out, if in their initial inquiry, they start making very specific demands about, like, this is our precise budget. We're not going to pay, and we want everything for this amount of money. They've already decided before I've even sent pricing what they're going to pay me for my outcome that I can give. I was like, that's not a great sign. Sometimes we can get over that. So that's one strike as a vendor, that's one strike.
Right.
And then if they're like, well, this is just too much, how can you even justify it? They're shaming me
For your prices.
for my pricing. And then they're just like, well, who's going to be the DJ? Will it be you? Like, what if you're sick? And they just immediately are making demands, and or we want somebody who's like a scratch artist, somebody, and they're asking for services or things that I don't typically do.
Right.
We want to do karaoke at our wedding. Are you going to be able to do that for us? A full karaoke setup? And I'm like, well, we don't do karaoke. We don't do that at weddings.
You don't want me singing, trust me. No.
Yeah, and so after that third thing, I'm like, this is probably not a good fit. It seems like a lot of the things that you value that are important to you aren't really what I do.
Right.
And so I think I want you to have a great wedding. I'd rather that be with somebody.
Yeah.
And once or twice, I have refunded deposits.
Yeah.
And let people out of their contract, even though I didn't have to. Because I was like, if they're like this now, it's going to be very difficult the day of to do that work. And they may not be satisfied with the outcome I'm giving. And I'd rather avoid that whole headache for everybody.
Right.
Whether they be a very difficult person, they're going to give me a bad review, or it's just going to be a difficult time and they're not going to get what they want from me, because that's not what I do. You're asking me to do something. And occasionally we get that same thing where they're like, yeah, we want to hire a DJ, but we don't really like dancing. We don't really like dance music. And it's whatever you want, DJ, do your thing. I was like, this is a big day in your life. This is your wedding. It's your family and friends. You know, why are you hiring a DJ? You don't have to do that.
Get a boombox.
Don't just have background music on a playlist. You know, if that's what you want, like, are you guys just want to chill? Like, we can do that. Then I'm not feeling the pressure, and then I can better help you guide the music if that's the day.
Yeah.
So some couples tell us that. I'm fine with that. But, the worst is when they're like, hey, we don't dance. We don't really like dancing. It's like, I don't know you know this, but that's kind of that's the outcome that I give, you know?
I've started actually, so this is one of my idea birth childs that my wife is like, oh, you have too many. So like Handprint Media Productions is me, you know, like I show up, I edit it, it's all me. And I'm trying to like evolve that even further. I have a wedding on December 1st with this couple that is amazing. I'm so excited to shoot this.
Oh, that's great.
But they have agreed to let me dabble in this new idea where it's like documentary style edit. So like I went to their house, we talked to their mom, their grandparents, like we did this whole thing.
Like an interview.
Yeah. And this is where like, to me, like photo and video are very close, but where I want it to be different is like people always say with video, like, oh, well, I want to hear my grandma's voice. Okay, but in the videos that are out there and the style that you're purchasing, you're not going to hear grandma's voice.
Yeah.
Grandma doesn't get a speaking role in this film. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is she talking? Is she giving a speech at the wedding?
Does she have a speech? Yeah. No, then you're not going to hear her, because when am I going to pull grandma aside and be like, hey, like it's not going to happen the day of. I can tell you that for sure. So it kind of goes along with it's not going to be exactly how you think.
No, it's not going to go the way you think.
So I was like, hey, how can we do this? How can we do it? And they loved the idea. I was like, let's have an interview. Let's do this. They gave me all their details like weeks ago. They're already shot. I don't have to worry about that the day of, like things like that. So I'm trying to do all this. And then after we shoot the interview and the day of the wedding, we're going to go back and like get together one more time and do some B-roll and like, it was like try to make it like a wedding love movie instead of
like you're making a documentary about the day they got married.
Leading up to the day, all that stuff.
How did you guys meet? What do your granddaughter? Tell us.
It was so great. And like, we're like all on the couches crying because it's just such a good day. And like, I am showing up the day of their wedding fully knowing this couple, what they want, who they are, everything, it's perfect. Anyway, so that's where I would love to take Handprint Media, because I feel like that's where video can get different than photos and where people will value.
You're telling people stories. That's way more intimate.
That's what I'm
than just
after.
Like, we got your vows and I'm going to have to put an Ed Sheeran song over this because the mic dropped out or whatever, you know?
Yes. Absolutely. So I talked to a couple of other videographers in the area that are great guys that I've known for a while. And we started Budget Wedding Films is another version of what we're doing. But that is where you can hire any three of us and we'll come and we'll shoot your wedding, but we're going to outsource your edit.
Sure.
And it will be exactly the same.
People on a budget.
Every time.
They just
Keep
want
you
the
on a budget.
basics. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is where if you call me a week before your wedding and you need a video, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or I will, but I'm going to send you through this.
You're not editing it.
avenue.
It's not the same
Yeah.
product. Yeah.
That way I don't have that problem
Yeah.
with the outcome
That
where
makes
it's
sense.
like, okay, this is how do I serve the couple that's coming to me the best? Okay, well, let's give these two different variations of what you can get. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But
We've talked about doing that
Yeah.
too, but like a kind of a watered down brand
Yeah.
of like, it's more that $500 DJ.
absolutely.
Where it's
Yeah.
like, we're going to show up, we're going to have giant speakers, and it's going to be, what it is. We're not going to really take requests. It's just going to be
it's going to be a boombox with a person behind it.
it's just not going to be the same. We're not going to mix. We're not going to,
Yeah.
and it's going to be whatever. It's not going to be the same level quality of party. But if you don't really care, that's the perfect price
that's
point
the way to do it. Yeah.
whatever. We don't care about dancing.
Yeah. Who cares?
Well, we don't either.
People are hanging out. Whatever. you don't care? All right.
All right. Neither do we.
Grandma's the only one on the dance floor. That's fine.
We were going to.
Videographer, get some.
Yeah. We were going to call it the Gotcha Guys. Because we gotcha.
Love it.
We gotcha.
I love that. Gotcha, guys.
We gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to like have background music. We got you.
We got you.
That kind of thing.
We don't care if what people request. Oh, we got it. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Ultimately, we haven't done that yet because I don't want to water down the brand. I don't want to. Why would they ever book me if they can get a watered down, cheaper version? And it's just.
I agree, but at the same time, I think that's where like there's an element of value to what there. I mean, there is value to what we do, but there's an element when it comes to who is hiring you, how do they value you, and I think that's where like things change so much for me because I can tell how much you value me when you hire me and when I show up.
Right. How they treat you in the first moment they reach out.
That is like telling. And when you value what I do more, then the day of, I'm not like playing second fiddle to the photographer and just like following whatever they do. It's a part of your day and you want it. And that is what like I want.
Yes.
I don't want to feel like I'm an afterthought. I don't want to feel like a gotcha guy.
Yes. I want to be a crucial part of the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if I do, then I want to have this option for you to do that.
That's right.
Where this brand, I will care less about it. Yeah. Like straight up, like this is what it is. You're getting what you see and you're paying for what you get.
Yeah.
But if you value what I do.
It's a different thing. I mean, that's what we're essentially talking about is that when people want just like, we're getting married in a garage. We're booked you the week of the wedding. Our budget is $500. That's not a person who doesn't seem like they have spent a lot of time planning, spent a lot of money. It doesn't seem like their wedding is a top priority. Just based on their actions.
Just there, yeah.
And then how they're reaching out, how they're treating the DJ and what the outcome they're expecting. There's going to be like 5 fights. Just be prepared, like that kind of thing. Yes. And it's like, I don't want violence at a wedding. Like I'm at work. Like I'm not trying to
do this.
But there's DJs who are like, they show up and they're on drugs or they're drunk and they're just a problem.
Yeah.
Because they just do this job to party.
Yeah.
They just party and they're not really looking at, I want this to be an amazing day for the couple. I want this to be, memories, and I want to be an integral part and find key moments to help make it a very special night for them that they'll have forever, those memories. Yeah. Versus like, whatever, I'm going to play whatever dirty request that comes up, even if it's, 5 o'clock and it's just going to be wild.
True.
It's going to be like a bar gig, and there's no offense. If they like a wedding like that, that's fine. That's just not me as a DJ. I don't want to be doing that type of work. And that's just not the outcome I want to be giving. I don't personally want violence.
I don't really feel like violence is a good.
But I find that there are something about the price point does make you value the work more.
Yeah.
And when you get out of a certain range of prices, people are more careful because they have to be, because they have to plan or save or budget the money. And they have to then, when they're spending that much money, they're going to do some research. They're going to plan it out. This person gets booked out, so I need to plan in advance so I can get the person I want. I gotta book them in 18 months out for my wedding. Yeah. Versus like, oh, well, we might want a DJ. We haven't decided.
Right. Yeah.
We just decide the week of your wedding. Maybe we should get a DJ.
And it's
my cousin made a convincing argument, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me call a DJ today and see if anyone's available.
Yeah.
That's
a different experience. And that's a different experience for you as a professional vendor. And, you know, that's a different experience for the day of the wedding, and the outcome they're expecting is different, and they haven't put a lot of planning and value into that. So it's going to be what it's going to be. And in fact, I try to charge at a premium for last minute things, because last minute things requires extra last minute work.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't come up often, but I do it. Surgeons don't go on sale. They don't have sales.
No.
They have years of training, very specific work that they do. They're not like, well, we're doing a Black Friday discount on your surgery.
Yeah.
No, they don't need to water down, because it's a highly specialized thing. You can't do yourself, and you're not going to, guess what? You're not going to call this week and get surgery this weekend.
Right.
It's got to be planned out months in advance. You got to make sure your insurance is covered, get it pre-approved. There's a lot of value there.
Yeah.
And by the way, you want that.
Yeah. You don't want to go to a basement with some guy.
It's okay if we reuse the needles. Yeah. I know. We got the gotcha guys in the alleyway doing surgeries, 2 for 1. Refer a friend.
If you give them a kidney, they'll do it for free, actually.
And same with anyone who does any kind of specialized work, plumbing, construction, you know. And I guarantee you, those industries, they do have those guys who are on the cheaper side, and those guys who are the more expensive side. And it's up to the customer to kind of value that out and figure out, where am I getting the most value? And you're paying for the outcome. I don't want a house that's going to fall over after I pay this builder and fall apart. And if they're, rushing through it, doing as cheaply as possible, cheapest material as possible, and I'm not watching and keeping track of that, then I'm going to have to own that outcome, But if they have a track record of having an amazing house, then it's a different thing.
That's a perfect analogy, actually.
People don't think twice about it. It's so silly. But if it's a wedding vendor, then it's like, oh, well, this guy, is he really worth the $2,000 or the $3,000 that he's asked? Well, yes. Does he have a track record, or she have a track record of doing amazing work? Do you see their work? Do you want that outcome that they are able to provide, and they've shown they can? Then you got to pay them.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that, then don't pay them. Go somewhere else.
Right.
Which is so wild to me when people get upset about pricing.
Yeah. It's
it's not an attack against you. Other people pay it without questioning, and they're so grateful. And other people are like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely just a preference thing as far as who you're dealing with. And it, again, goes back to the value thing, just like you said. It tells you exactly what they value, how much they value you, and where they're willing to put you.
Yeah.
So
I have those people like, we want everything, and it's a 12-hour day, and it's $800 is our budget.
Yeah. And you're like,
and we're very particular about songs. I was like, okay, maybe that's not a good fit.
Yeah.
For what I do, the outcome I can give.
It's so funny.
But then I have couples who are like, we have studied your stuff. We want you. You did our friend's wedding. We just don't have the budget. We can't afford it. Is there any way you could meet us halfway or work with us on a budget? That's the people I want to work with.
It's all about how you reach out. We had a couple that was a backyard wedding, getting married, and they reached out to us for just photography. And they were like, we really want a photographer. We know you guys. We saw your wedding work before. This is our budget.
Yeah.
Can you come? And even though from what we've been talking about, like this price point would say we don't value you, the way they reached out and that relationship that they're trying to build, the vibe is there.
Yes.
So it makes you feel valued. You can make me feel valued without giving me money.
That's right.
And if you realize that and you just like compliment the crud out of me, I'm going to feel like, I want to do this. But that wedding was one of the most fun weddings we did.
Yeah.
It was so laid back. And because we knew they just were wanting this one thing, and this is where their price was, and this is what they were looking for, and they weren't expecting the regular.
Sure.
Then we just hung out. We took some pictures while we were hanging out with some friends. And this wedding, they took the entire cake and shoved it in each other's face. That's the kind of wedding we're talking about. Best food, by the way, barbecue. It was amazing. Yeah. And we hung out after we were supposed to be there because we're just going to dance and hang out with you guys. Yes. That's totally different. And that that speaks volumes to what you value us as and what you value. It also says something too, like if you're throwing a backyard wedding and you're not spending a lot of money on your wedding, like less than $1,000, and then you're willing to give me like $700, like almost the cost of your entire wedding, that is valuable. Like
the whole budget.
You value me. That was my wife and I's wedding. We were a barn in Tennessee, and we spent all of our money on photo and video. That was it. Like, we didn't have food. Yeah. We didn't have anything. We were just like, this is what's important to us.
The most important.
So that spoke volumes to those people saying you are valuable because look at what we're doing.
And guess what? You got what you wanted out of your wedding.
Absolutely.
You had the wedding you wanted. Yeah. You still watch the videos to this day.
Yeah.
You know, that's
evaluate what you want, evaluate what's important to you, and then spend the money on that.
Yes.
And then save the money where you don't need to.
Yeah. And you know, you can't have it all.
No, you can't.
You can't.
I mean, some people can.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't been to one of those weddings,
but yeah, there's a different character of person who reaches out and is like, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right away.
Yeah.
What you're going to do for me for this amount of money.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who's like, you're awesome. We love your stuff. We want you. We just can't afford it. And anything you can do would be amazing. And you don't have to do your usual thing. You know, and then the day of, that person's going to be way more gracious, way more understanding, and hopefully they'll rave about your reviews. There's people who I work with too, where I'm like, oh, family and friends, we typically give discounts or do for free. If it's someone close to us, good relationship, we'll work with them. And I'm like, can you tip my guys, take good care of them, and can you write a good review for us?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Like, I'm not asking much, but we want to take good care of you. We want this to be a nice gift for you, our services, but I don't want anybody to feel
taken advantage of.
And they're so gracious. Yeah. They love it. It's the best thing ever. And I'm always trying to find ways, especially if I really care about the couple and they care about me, and that's a clear thing, that I want to do something that's extra for them.
Yeah. You want to go above and beyond because they're technically going above and beyond their means to get you.
Versus the people who are like, I'm going to make you work for every dollar.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's not an amount of money that's going to be worth working with this.
You're not going to get any food.
That's it. Yeah.
Just keep holding the camera.
Yeah.
I've never had a couple like that.
We need you there at 9 a.m. to set up, I'm like, what? The wedding's not till 6.
Won't do that.
What if they've already booked a video person, videographer, cinematographer? What advice do you have to them about getting the most out of that experience? Ways to communicate either with them, with other vendors, advice you have for couples or even other vendors, like how the best way to work with people like yourself?
Yeah. Just reach out, tell them what you're expecting, show them what you're expecting. Not even what you're expecting. Show them what you would like to have in your wedding video. Be specific about shots that you've seen and that you would appreciate. I've had couples send me TikTok videos of like, hey, I like this. And I was like, that's really cool. Let's do it. You know? So just being as communicative as possible without being, with understanding the fact that these people have weddings every week and you're maybe not on their mind at that moment.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes I have to like be like, okay, can we have this conversation the week before your wedding? Mm-hmm. Like, can we get on a call or whatever? But like really dial in with like these last minute details, because I'm not focused on your last minute details. I'm focused on this other couple's last minute details at the moment. Not that your wedding isn't important, but it's not right now.
Yeah.
It's a little while away. But if you can have those conversations and just like realize what is time sensitive and what is planning, like way in advance, like, hey, if you could just like keep this in mind, that's fine. And like those relationship building techniques, if you could do that and just like get to know your videographer as best as you can, that's the best advice. Try to get dinner with them if you can.
Yeah.
I know that that's like something that maybe some people don't want to do, but I would love to do that.
I used to do that all the time.
I used to get coffee with every single one of them. And I still do if it's available.
Yeah.
And they want to. Yeah, so if you can get dinner with your couple, or if you could get dinner with your videographer and really get to know them and just show them like, hey, this is what we like, this is what we would love to have for our wedding day, this is what's going to make us like really cherish this video. That's what every videographer wants, is to help you cherish your day. So if you can help us understand what's going to help you cherish it, that's a win-win.
Plus, I imagine when you go to edit it, you already know this was the most important moment for them.
Oh, yeah.
They told me, and it was clear. And now that I have all this footage and I shot it, I'm like, I know that shot is the one I want. Like, that's going to be great to use.
Yeah. And it helps you outline what kind of video it's going to be. And, like, is it speech heavy? Do they want every single word said in the speeches? Was that the most important thing to them? Or is it more vow heavy? Or is it they don't really care about that at all and they just want like visual reminders of it, and you don't need to include that as much? You know, like, how much can you cut this up? How much can you do this? What to include? That's another aspect to it. And getting to know that couple is sometimes challenging when you have as many as you do, or when you're getting to know all these different people and you're planning for that wedding. It's really great when you have a couple that wants to build a relationship with you, and they're not just viewing it as like you're just providing a service on the day and we're going to get this end product and that's it.
Yeah.
The more relationship focused you can be with all of your vendors, I feel like, is the better.
It's gonna equate for a better outcome for everybody and a better working environment throughout the process. And the outcome's gonna be. That makes sense. Do you have any crazy, wild things you've shot or experienced at weddings? Or funny, or even just really sweet, memorable moments stories?
Sweet and memorable at a wedding?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we've had quite a few moments where, like, I can't think of anything specific now that you're asking about the sweet and memorable part, but there's so many moments where, oh man, I just thought of one. Okay, so I am a stepdad to 3 children, and I just actually adopted 2 of them. We're working on the 3rd one. That's the whole story. But I just adopted 2 of them probably a week before this wedding that I went to. And I'm going to tear up thinking about it. The girl, the bride, she had a daughter, and the couple had been together for a while. And after the ceremony, like directly after, they walked down the aisle, and the groom went to the daughter, and he had this necklace that he had gotten specifically for her. And he had this whole note that he read her, and like, this girl is bawling. And then her cousin is, like, another little girl is bawling, and I'm bawling, and everyone's bawling, and I'm trying to keep this camera steady. And it was just like the sweetest moment that I can remember capturing. That like, I am going to like cherish that moment for them. And it's like, oh my gosh, that was so precious. So that was one of my favorites recently that we did.
I love that.
Further back, it's probably better. But crazy, we've had, like, one of the funniest moments that I had was I recorded a wedding, edited it, delivered it to the bride, and then I was at another wedding, and I got a call from the bride. Like, we were in the prep stage, so I could, like, dip out for a second. But I was worried because, like, I get texts a lot, I get messages a lot saying like, oh, we love your stuff. Never got a call before. So I was like, oh, what did I do wrong? So I answered the phone, and she's like, hey, we love the video. Everything is great. But there's one thing we need to change. I was like, what's that? She said, during the dancing stage, there was a guy who was dancing with a girl that he was not supposed to be dancing with. And I captured that and put it in their wedding film. Because how am I supposed to? So she's like, can you please swap out that clip with something else?
Oh, my gosh.
That was hilarious. Just knowing that, like, I caught something that was not supposed to be happening, like video proof. And I was like, so I like after I was like, I'm so sorry. She's laughing about it. She's like, no, it's fine. You know, all this stuff. So then like after the phone call, I texted her back. I was like, do you want me to give you this clip separate for like blackmail, like in the future, like just in case? Like she's like, yeah, sure. So that was hilarious, and that was probably one of the craziest. But
my gosh,
that happens more than I think, probably just because like I think even at the wedding we were at, maybe not, maybe it was the week after, but there was a guy that I was just roaming the dance floor, and when he saw the camera come near him, he'd like push the girl he was with away.
Yeah.
Like turn. I was like,
what are you doing, stranger? I don't know you. Yeah.
Are you just afraid of the camera? And now that I've had this experience, I think
yeah, could be
something's going on. So
people don't realize they're being filmed and shot. Yeah.
Avoid that. So people get weird with cameras. So that's always like something you gotta watch out for. But, so that's the craziest experience I had with like a
that's so wild.
Wedding. Craziest experience I had with a DJ is completely separate. And I'm sure you would love to hear. Did I tell you this story at the wedding?
I don't know.
I don't know if I did. I don't want to say her name.
You don't have to.
Because
I'd rather you don't. I don't
want, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a wedding at, I'll give the location. Maybe that could help out. What was it? The one in Hebron, the Designer Barn.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Love that bar. Oh, you might have told me this.
Did I?
It's starting to come together now.
Yeah. She was, showed up without a bra on. Just, you know, because you know the old saying, like go to a wedding and show your tits. It's like that's.
Oh, that old saying. I have that crocheted on a pillow at home. Yeah.
I guarantee you she does.
It's above my fireplace.
I was like, what is happening? I shot this with my wife, and she was like, what is well, I don't know. So that was step one. Then step two was like drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Heavily drinking. Drunk by like the middle of the night. Would not talk to me at all about like audio stuff. Like I would try to talk to her and she'd be like, I'm busy, and walk away. I was like, okay, fine. So like I'm setting my own stuff up on her board, which I hate doing. This is the only time I ever had to do that. And so there was that. And then once like the whole schedule was off, like off bad, didn't care about it at all. And then was like coming downstairs and yelling at me, telling me that I needed to get the bride and groom in line. I was like, that's not my job.
The videographer.
What are you talking about? I don't even know what's happening next. Like, I'm just going with the flow.
Oh my gosh.
And then the final piece to the puzzle at the end of the night, she took one of my audio equipment things at the end. She took it off her board and threw it at me.
What?
Threw it across the room at me. And it just like landed right on the floor in front of me. I was like, are you serious? What just happened? So, yeah, she is not allowed back at that venue. Talk to the venue owner. She's not. And that was the worst experience I've ever had.
That's so crazy.
I was like, I'm ready to go home.
That's
what am I doing here?
Oh man, when I hear about that, I'm like, what?
Yeah. So just don't do that with your get you guy.
Sure. No,
wear a bra when you show up.
Well, no, I live my life by a rule. Yeah. So I go braless at weddings.
That's fair, I guess.
It's my rule. It's kind of my thing. You want my outcome, that's what you're going to get.
You're going to get a braless man.
If you hire me, I'm going braless. Going topless.
Might have a jock strap.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. It's been great having you on. Please come back and see us. If anyone listening is interested in working with you, interested in having the experience that you're kind of talking about with what you offer, what's the best way they can reach out and get in touch with you?
My address is, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I have a website, handprintmediaproductions.com. You can go there, fill out a Connect Us form. If you're more budget friendly, and this is the last minute thing, budgetweddingfilms.com. That's the other one. You can pick between me and two other videographers who are great. Those are the two best ways.
Sure.
But I've got cell phones listed on Facebook and Instagram. So just find us on any of our socials and reach out, text me, call me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm available.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. This has been another episode of the DJ Insider Podcast. I'm Mike from Amplified Events.
I'm Nathan from Handprint Media Productions.
And guys, we will see you at your wedding.